today we invited four speakers from different parts of the world so that you will know how 5G is deployed in different countries. So we will have Stone. Stone is our Peplink business development director. Actually, he is in charge of a lot of POC activity with partners and users. He already designed lots of interesting 5G deployment. For example, you will see later in the webinar, we will see we are in a virtual concert 5G deployment sample and also some automotive examples. So Stone, how are you today?
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, so the other guest then I want to introduce to you is Joey. Joey is the technical engineer from Frontier BV. Frontier BV is our certified distributor in Netherlands. They are providing solutions to many industries, but one of the strongest vertical they are dealing actually is maritime. So today, Joey will share with us about a lot of 5G use case in the maritime and also the first responders. Hello, Joey. How are you today?
Hi, Cassie. Thank you for having me today. Looking forward to tell the case and share everybody about 5G.
Cool. Yeah, the next guest I want to introduce is Nadi. Nadi is the managing director in Patel GmbH. Patel actually is our certified distributor in Germany. They are extremely strong in government sector, broadcasting, and of course many others, and they do everything, but they are extremely strong in government and broadcasting. Actually, Patel handle many different 5G cases, but maybe yesterday, Nadi told me that he actually have a lot of case study, but today he select the best one, which is cannot be handled by others that cannot by just simple LTE, but only the 5G case. So yes, I'm looking forward to this sharing. So Nadi, how are you?
I'm fine, Cassie. Thank you. How are you doing?
You are, where are you? Your background is...
I'm out of space.
Yeah, so looking forward to your study case. Okay,
Same
the
here.
next guest I would like to introduce is George. George is our channel director in M2M connectivity. M2M actually is our certified distributor in Australia. Actually, I met him only for 10 months, but it seems that it's a long journey because I have regular meeting with him, and I'm very impressed by his passion, energy, and commitment to the Peplink team. Just always showed me that what Peplink can do best in the solution. So today, I'm so happy that he can share more about the 5G case in the use case in Australia. So George, how are you?
Yeah, very well, Cassie. Thank you very much for inviting me along today. Yeah, I'm very excited about 5G and particularly the work that Peplink is doing in 5G. And I think there is a fantastic opportunity in this region to really lead the way. And I look forward to sharing some of the successes that we've had locally.
Yeah, thank you. So Peplink vision is, the mission is we make connectivity reliable. So imagine no matter in hospitality, telecommunication, education, retail, finance, and brand edge, wherever, you will need connectivity. So what we are here is to make it always work. We make connectivity always work. So you may think that how far is Peplink doing? So today I will share with you on the Peplink roadmap. So last year, we have already launched some devices balance series in 5G models in balance series, also in the Max series. And also we have some modular upgrade, for example, Max adapter or Flex module into our product portfolio. And also recently, we have a deal 5G cellular models called MBX Mini. And we will have more 5G models coming soon, just like the Doom 5G or the BL2 Pro is coming. So you may wonder, so how, in what scenario, what should I choose a Peplink devices? So you can consider there are 4 main upgrade paths in our Peplink. For example, if you want to upgrade your existing Peplink device with 5G capacity, you can pick a Max adapter. Or if you want to add a single cellular router in your system to use the 5G to get the benefit of the 5G, then you can use the BL1 Pro 5G. Of course, Peplink's strongest product is the multi-cellular routers. So we still have dual cellular router just like MBX Mini, or we have 5G cellular router just like MBX still available in the product portfolio. And another scenario is about on the branch is we still have different balanced 310 different product models to handle the special connectivity in the branch usage. So this is about our product portfolio. Then you may ask, so what is unique about Peplink? So now I will pass the time to Stone to share with you why Peplink what is 5G and what is doing on.
Hi, everybody. First thing we need to know, the difference between the 4G and 5G is technically 5G have 10 times faster than 4G. Why? The first thing is we have a wider bandwidth and frequency from the 4G to the 5G. So when the 5G have a better bandwidth, have a wider bandwidth, let's say, please see the diagram, we can see it's almost 100 gigahertz, which means it can bring 10 times speed faster than the 4G. And basic technology, the 5G have multiple input and multiple output data stream. They can make a single cellular tower to support more end device. For example, in the traditional LTE cellular station, let's say it can support 10K end device because it have a limit wave on the antennas. But if we under the 5G architecture, we can support more than 10 wave per stream, which means we can also support 6 to 20 times more end device is based on the architecture. But for the same cellular station, if you use the 5G architecture, you will support more end device, which means it can bring more possibility to create more connection to the same station. It will come with, if we use IoT solutions, not only the phone, we get IoT solution to your car, to your smartwatch, or any detect device for the smart car parking or other sensors in the country, in the city, in any scenario. We can cover more end device to the same cellular router, which is LTE station not able to do it. And with the new technology, we have a beamforming technology on the 5G wave. In the traditional LTE wave, you can imagine it is 330 degrees wave. If we have a limit user at one angle, the data wave, it won't change the format to close the end device, which means you have a same signal strength and worse SINR in the coverage. But with the 5G architecture, it will change the wave beam and change the beam more focused to where is the end device. That will increase your quality of the communication. That's the efficiency difference between the LTE and 5G. And because the micro cell density, the 5G density is lower than 4G because our wave frequency is higher, so the density is lower, which means the telecom must create more cellular tower in the urban life or city life. Anyway, you need to install. That will create more coverage because the density things, the 5G coverage might not good as 5G. Good as 4G. That's what we face right now. And another thing we will talk about is people might see this term that's called NSA and SA. What's the difference between those two terms? The first is non-standalone architecture. It is a temporary architecture between to the LTE 4G to the 5G. because in the traditional way, the telecom company might not have enough resource to build their own networking for the 5G radio. Therefore, they only change the 5G antenna, the station. They will send the 5G wave, but the back end still using LTE core. They will make the bottleneck is on the LTE network architecture, which means our backhaul is much smaller than we expect. Then with the time goes by, we're hoping the telecom company will build a SA architecture, which means totally separate from the old one. They can use new higher backbone, like say 100 giga or 1 terabyte backbone. There is a difference between the SA and NSA. Then people might ask, at this moment, what kind of the 5G Peplink can support? Based on the cellular module, we support NSA 5G, and we don't support the SA and mini-wave at this moment. But future, with the new module came out, with the hardware upgrade, I believe we can support the latest technology. Now we're talking about the advantage of the Peplink. Why you need to use Peplink? The first thing is bandwidth bounding. For the other brand, other competitors, they are not able to combine the bandwidth together. For example, if you have two SIM card, you install to the same device. When you have a session to your, let's say your intranet or to the YouTube, in the other device, you will not use them together. But under the Peplink device, in Peplink scenario, if you come with the right settings, for example, if you want to use the Netflix, you want to visit Netflix, and you want to use two cellular together with the SpeedFusion Cloud technology, you can use two SIM cards together. Your bandwidth will be combined. Your speed will be better and stable. And another advantage of the Peplink is our partner line is more complete. We have a fiber port. We have a fiber device for the IDC, 10 gig or the virtual machine. We also have a Max device we can deploy on the car, on the vessel, or in the outdoor. We have a different device for the different scenario, include a cloud-based management system. We also support on-prem option, which means if you are cooking the government, the military project, they will require totally isolate than the internet. Then yes, Peplink can do that. We can copy what we're doing on the public network to your private network. Totally standalone, no security issue. For example, you can use to police survey system, CCTV system, or you can use it to the traffic control system, etc. There's another advantage of Peplink, which is not every competitor can do that. Then about the traffic controlling, the advantage of Peplink, we say the SD-WAN technology, what we can do. About the bounding things, you might curious about, what if I have a different type of the media? Let's say I have LTE and 5G, or I have ADSL. I want to bond them together. Can we do that? Because they have a different latency. The answer is yes, we can do that. We are not just a simple cut the session to the different packets, then send it to the different interface. We will detect the latency, and we will cut the different portions to the different WAN interface. So they will make almost even that the interface capability. we call dynamic wave bonding. We can use to bond different latency when, I would say, interface together. And another thing is half failover. Under the Peplink space fusion technology, we can have half failover technology or experience, which means if, for example, if my ADSL just shut down, it's just not working. When I have space fusion bonding, then I won't have any disconnect when one of the WAN connection fail. We can have seamless transfer your connection to alternative WAN. And the last thing is, because of our technology, we are not just simple manipulate the sessions. We dealing the BBM traffic in the packet level. So we can maintain or manage the jitter things. If you use the Peplink space fusion on the television broadcasting, the first thing we need to worry is about the jitter. What we can do to avoid this happen during the live session, we have a technology called the WAN smoothing. We have a small algorithm. We can duplicate the packet and replace the lost one. It is all based on our VPN technology. We call WAN smoothing. You can use the VoIP scenario, sport live scenario, etc. This is how Peplink good on the SD-WAN technology. Then let's see how the 5G market situation in Taiwan. In this table, our background test is using sensing card at a same location, almost complete this test in 2 hours. So the signal and the quality will be so close because we use the sensing card and same location in a very short time. The first value what we need to see is we call the open signal report. It is a third-party marketing survey company. It's something sort of the smart speed test company, but you only do the research things. When we use the T-Star mobile, base his research, the download speed is around 130, and upload speed is around 20 megabits. Under Peplink device test, you can see we perform better than the average value. So this is a table we have. Then the last thing is a Sony one. We use another cell phone, 5G cell phone, to test the value. Also, you can see the value is so close. So I will say we will worry about how the transfer rate from the 5G to your LAN device. Baseless setting is quite simple connection. Just SIM card to the 5G device, then use LAN port to your laptop. Then we go to the speedtest.com. We just test the upload and download. So it's quite referenceable. If you try to use Peplink device, then you can see the performance like this, better than average. The next thing, this page we want to share how many 5G is already rolled out in different cities. In Taiwan, it's around over 200 sites because we are a small country.
Mm-hmm. So how about what is happening in Australia? Josh, can you tell us more about your country, your situation?
Yeah, this is a really good slide actually. So Australia is definitely adopting quite aggressively the 5G technology. We have 3 telcos at various stages of rollout, being Telstra, Optus, Syntel, and Vodafone. And what we're seeing actually is the telcos are pushing the consumer handsets first to really deploy on and to start to take up the 5G, because I think that's for them one of the easier cells for them to do. But it is paving the way now for us to move more into a commercial space. So it's quite it's quite an exciting time. And for me, I think it's the year of 5G down under.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So how about things in Germany? Nadi, can you share with us about your countries?
Yeah, actually, Germany is doing well considering they're typically slow, actually. But when it comes to 5G, they are on a good pace, I would say. Considering they're really slow usually, but we see 5G, especially in the city areas, it's being rolled out pretty fast. Although it's in most cases not the standalone 5G. So we see they are building it up on the 4G network. And what did surprise me is also on rather the countryside, they are also rolling out 5G, even also on not standalone. But we see also in some city areas that the standalone part is also being rolled up. So to be fair, in many cases, you don't see a really huge advantage compared to 4G. So that's not in all areas the case, but it's doing well. And you can also see that there is a big hype around 5G. There's a lot of opportunities coming up, and obviously the customers are also looking forward to it. So I think in some areas you can really feel the benefits, but there's still a lot of work to do, especially also making sure the backbone is keeping up with the 5G performance itself. That will take some more time here, definitely.
Yeah. So Joey, how about your situation in Netherlands?
Yes, we see that there's a lot of progress made on the background. Many carriers already promoting their 5G network, and we see that the rollout of the network is on a pace that is quite good. Of course, there needs to be a lot of work on the carrier side, and as that is done, I think we're going to have a good reception overall in the Netherlands. So looking forward to it.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so give you back the time on your case.
Okay. I see some question about the performance test in the chat room. We will answer those questions after the introduce. Okay.
Okay.
So I want to share a few case studies in Asia. The first is about the entertainment industry. I want to ask: is anybody have idea? The UFC, the Ultimate Fight, they will have a pay-per-view. Is anybody know how much the ticket pay-per-view for the UFC?
Yeah, you can type the answer in the chat.
If you do know, please type the answer in the chat.
Yes.
I'll hold in 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. The answer is the pay-per-view of the UFC fight for this event. Every pay-per-view is around $70, $70 per view. For each fight, they have 3 to 5 fights. The fighters, they will beat each other. So basically, it is around 2-hour event on the network. If you viewing this over the internet, you need to pay the $70 for 2 hours. We have others entertainment industry, let's say interactive concept over the 5G. The basic idea is use the XR technology. They will combine the stage side and the remote studio side. Then we have a boy band in Taiwan called the Wolf. They raised the online concert during the pandemic. And you see the selling price, it shows the Taiwan dollars, but the middle range of the price is $100. $100 per view with the VIP set. You can see some mask, say some eyeglasses or some souvenir. It costs $100. So it's proven is workable. They have 50,000 followers in the Instagram. The group Instagram have 50,000 followers. A small boy band, but they do such things over 5G. What exactly they do? Because the pandemic, they have two sites to build the whole concert. The first thing is they have a stage side and the studio side. The artists in the stage side with the band, they were singing, they were dancing on the stage. And the studio side, they have a VIP fans, the fan club. They pay extra more money. They can go to the studio. They can call dance or call performance during the streaming. So we can see this is the stage, and there's a studio editing screen. We can see the green screen back there, and the upper left is show the editing page. We can see the bars, it show the signal synchronized between the stage and studio. Then the left button is show the final film, the final image they will push up to the network. So the whole thing is they use 5G and Ethernet combined together and use split version bonding technology to transmit the videos and make the concert work. And the VIP fans, they can go to the studio part, use the green keyboard things. They can interactive with their idol. There is a small band in the Taiwan, small male band in Taiwan. They follow just 15,000. Just imagine, what if there is a world-class artist, let's say the BTS. Just imagine how crazy the bandwidth or how crazy they were going to visit this. There is a quite different scenario that we use in the entertainment industry. It is the same to use, we can use on the soccer, on the sports, or Winter Olympia, etc. The 5G can do more and more flexible to the stage. And we can see the performance. The performance is quite low because they only output the 4K video. So the streaming video is not required too many bandwidths, but the key is they need a low latency because they need to interactive from the stage and the studio. So we use pin. We can use the pin to see the latency test. The minimum latency is 7 microseconds. So it's quite small. And the maximum is 200. So it's kind of average between the LTE. So this is the first case study about entertainment case study. And the next thing is quite similar, but it's not related to the artist. We do have a case in Japan with the local largest car manufacturer. The idea about unmanned car is we are not just unmanned. We are looking forward, we have remote control the car. In their scenario, they have Peplink device on the car and also have another fusion hub in the remote operator center. Then they have some drivers behind the desk holding the wheel, like playing the video games. Once they receive the alert from the unmanned car, they will take over remotely. It's a different label of the unmanned vehicle, because what we have right now, the unmanned car, the automatic car, they are not able to have a backup, have a plan B if any accident happened. They will just shut down or just roll over. But in the Japan, their plan B is they will have some drivers behind the computer and holding the wheel. Once there is alert, the monitor will switch the screen to the vehicle, then will take over the wheel remotely. And under the text scenario, average latency is around 20 megasecond average. That's all I want to share some case study in Taiwan. So now I pass time to.
Sorry, Stone. I want to ask.
Yes.
Can you for you're saying that we are using the Fusion Hub as a data center to remote control this. So do we have any latency issue for if we host the Fusion Hub in some non-5G latency levels public cloud?
Let's say the Fusion Hub latency is based on your local WAN quality. If you use fiber WAN to your IDC to your virtual machine, then your latency will extremely low than others.
Okay.
So we don't need to worry about this because we can use fixed WAN interface in the remote operation center.
Okay. Yep. Thanks for sharing. Then please we go to see the situation in the Netherlands. So Joey, can you share with us about your case?
Yes, thank you, Cassie. Thank you, Stone, for the useful information.
Yeah.
And a nice case study. Yes, here in the Netherlands, it's a small country, so we have on land really good signal, especially in the last couple of years with the extension of 4G plus, and now with 5G we are going to be introduced with higher bandwidth. However, we still are really or we have a really large area on sea that we also would like to cover to have better reception on sea in the maritime sector, and therefore 5G is also a really good option to extend those frequency ranges with the 700 megahertz frequency, which is the lowest frequency that will be added with the 5G implementation. And in situations like on sea, we see that the 700 megahertz is going to be an improvement over the existing 4G network. The frequencies are more powerful than the existing 4G frequencies. However, this doesn't mean that the high bands won't be used in the maritime sector, because on many cases we can still use the sub-6 frequencies. All of those frequencies are going to be used mainly in ports or in areas where there is a mast on a oil platform or a wind farm, where you have those short range frequencies available. However, you're going to still use the 4G frequencies, of course. They won't disappear. But they are going to be used in between, let's say it like that. So one thing is really noticeable with the 700 megahertz is that the antenna placement is also really a key factor. Antenna placement is also really important because of the lower band or the higher wave. So the 700 megahertz frequency has a high wave signal. That means that the antennas need to be more placed from each other. So there needs to be more placed between the antennas. We would advise to use at least 1 meter in between, so that you will have the best reception, of course. So this is a real important thing with the 700 megahertz frequency. Yes. So talking about the 700 megahertz frequency, we have the long range, but we also have a use case which is really interesting to see on a yacht, where they installed MBX 5G, dual cellular router. And they have high frequencies available, for example, in Monaco. And they have reached a good range with them. And also for the high frequencies, of course. And the really important thing is Monaco is a high density area, which means that there's a lot of people using the network. And in this case, the 5G network gives, of course, the network slicing feature, which is a new or better evolved feature with 5G. And it allows to have more people connected to the network. So with those Peplinks 5Gs, the customer was really happy with this solution. And of course, with the carrier aggregation, with 4 bands instead of 2 bands that you have normally on the 4G network, you have more bandwidth, which means that the guests on the boat can use Netflix, for example, instead they couldn't before. And it was all possible due to the 5G deployments. And they also had hot failover between those lines. So if in case one line had a poor reception, it fails over to the other one or didn't have any connection at all, we hot failover to the next one, which makes it a unbreakable connectivity.
So the primary connection in a boat is VSAT or LTE currently in many cases?
Mainly the what we saw before, like 5 years ago, VSAT was the primary source of network connection. And nowadays we see that more and more often we see that the cellular is making way, or the VSAT is making way for the cellular connection. So yeah, we see that many more ships around the world are going to use cellular as their main connection, because the ranges are getting better, the coverage is going to be better. So yeah, it's a really nice change in the market.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next sheet, we have another business case, which is not maritime. It's a rapid deployable solution. And in this case, the emergency services are using the PDX 5G. The PDX 5G is a rapid deployment router. It's built in a case which has the antennas already in it. So it's basically a router that you can deploy anywhere where you want to and receive 5G. And in this case, we use the private 700 megahertz frequency in Belgium. In Belgium, the situation is different to the Netherlands, for example. In the Netherlands, we have the 700 megahertz frequency open to the public, so everybody can use it. In Belgium, it's different. They haven't sold the band frequency yet to the carriers, so it's just like the police can use it for their testing with 5G, and what they can do with it, because of there is no people on the network, is that the 700 megahertz frequency, which offers lower bandwidth compared to the 1800 frequency or even the sub-6 frequencies for 5G, they can still send a really good quality signal from the drones to their Fusion Hub, which is in their control room. So even though they use a really low frequency, which has a good coverage, of course, they can still be sending data, pretty high data over that line, because there's so many people not using that band. And of course, in some areas, the 700 megahertz frequency is not available. Then they hot fail over to the public 5G, which is available in the cities. And in this case, they did it all with the PDX 5G, which is just place it anywhere and you have network coverage, which is really nice.
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting case because PDX sometimes we have a lot of case used it in the public safety sector, and then they usually do a lot of they need a critical connectivity deployment. So I think this case can show what's happening, what Peplink is helping this kind of deployment to have a resilient network. Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
Thanks.
indeed.
Thanks for sharing this case.
All right.
Okay.
It was a
Yep.
pleasure.
And let's see what is happening in Germany.
All right. Thanks a lot,
Yeah.
Cassie. So the case I'd like to present to you is about remote reality, how I would like to call it. The whole idea is that we basically stream one location to another one, meaning that in places where you can't be on site personally, you should have the possibility to be in that scenario at another place. And this specific example we have done in a museum. It's about a aircraft museum that our partner actually used as a kind of a test scenario. And the idea was that we have something like, just like when you're in a museum and you have a guided tour, that you basically stream this to another location. And the feeling should be just like you are in there. And for this setup, our partner has used a 360-degree camera within the museum and a 180-degree beamer at another remote location that could be anywhere. And for this, we have used the MBX Mini 5G with the two 5G connections, and the same at the other remote site. And the important part here is that you have a low latency in order to have the feeling that you are really almost no delays. And at the same time, you need a lot of bandwidth because the 360-degree camera is producing a lot of traffic. I mean, if you have a full HD stream, this is typically somewhere between 2 and 10 megabit, but with a 360-degree camera, and then it depends on which resolution, you can go up for 60, 70 megabits of stable upload that you will need for that. So this is quite critical, and this is where 5G comes also in place, giving you the possibility to have low latency and also potentially high bandwidth. And yeah, and this scenario should be, or this kind of setup should be possible to do anywhere for all different types of applications. Now, let's go to the next slide. So this is the mobile visual room. It's actually in a not final stage. On the right picture, you will see then the MBX Mini on the next to the place of the tire. Yeah, exactly, a little bit up. And there the MBX Mini will be installed, and they will also install a extendable pole which will have the antennas mounted actually. So they have the possibility to move up the antennas a bit high off the ground to make sure to get the best connection possible. This can help if you've got a crowded place somewhere where more people are there. And the walls of this container are extendable. So you're just seeing a very small unit now, but the walls can be extended. That means they will be pushed out actually, and you will have a much bigger room. And within this room, you can place the 180-degree beamer and yeah, have a very immersive experience actually. That means it almost feels like you are on site actually. And this can be done with this 180-degree beamer, but you can also use like the AR glasses, for example, or you can just also watch it on your monitor, whatever. But especially with the beamer itself, it gives you a very immersive experience. And that is something like the next level. I mean, I've also prepared a small footage. Yeah. So this is also from the POC that we've done. This example specifically is for digital classrooms, for example, that you can do remote classrooms and almost feels like it's in there. And this is now the POC from the museum. And you see the 180-degree camera is in a room, and the situation from the museum is being streamed. And you can see that, it's in real time, basically, almost no delay. And while having the guided tour, you can still look around and get the live feeling, actually, that is on site. And this is obviously very useful, especially through the pandemic, where this kind of possibilities were very limited. You can't be going everywhere. And with this kind of setup, our partner had the idea having this possibility extended and helping this kind of events or applications still being possible. And there are many use cases to this. I mean, classrooms, we've been talking about trainings. You can do business conferences and stream the conference in the room while having another participants in that room and having a bi-directional connection and talking with each other. It can be concerts, orchestras, whatever. Surveillance operations, just imagine a protest march, for example, where the command center from police can't be obviously on site, but having instead a 360-degree camera on site where a command center can have a full overview about the situation and get a much better idea of what's happening there. Another scenario, which is a bit linked to what Stone presented, could be vehicle operations or tele operations, with having this 360-degree camera and the immersive experience at another place. So all this comes to our next stage. It would be very hard or much harder to achieve this with 4G, but the possibilities that 5G brings you makes this really a good and usable application. And especially having a device like Peplink, where you can bond several 5G connections, which I haven't seen at this performance rate from other vendors, is something unique and gives us also a unique possibility. And I would strongly advise anyone who hasn't done it, get prepared, because there are many more applications coming up, and therefore also many more opportunities for all of us.
So why this user found Peplink? Because of the bandwidth bonding of 5G?
Well, I mean, with Peplink, you get the possibility to get really high performant bonding through several 5G connections. The MBX Mini can go up to 600 megabit in bonding performance, and providing you several 5G links, which you can use with different vendors. And especially the X series has a very good CPU unit, which also gives you a very low latency on top as well. And especially high bandwidth, low latency are the critical criteria. And on top, having a unbreakable connection that if one line should fail, the other one will still maintain, and that without packet loss. These are the unique features that was critical.
I also think this is maybe not so many vendors can do, because the physical need to move around. So a fixed line cannot handle that. So you
definitely.
Okay, thanks. So it's really an interesting case. So thanks for Vladi. So let's see what is happening in Australia. George, your time.
Yeah, no, thank you. And Nadir's point is absolutely spot on. The idea of bonding is just such a powerful technology, and we uncover new use cases for this all the time. An example here is a production company. They produce local TV shows, and they need a reliable internet connection for their short-term or mid-term shooting sites. And they've been able to solve that using 5G with balance 310 with a bonded connection. So all of the features that we've spoken about on this seminar really come into play here. And the customer is expanding their network. They really like their solution and are continuing to add more and more devices. And you'll note here too, they can very easily get more grunt from their solution by adding something like a max adapter 5G. And it just, again, brings more and more power to the solution. An important point to note is that in the non-standalone environment, in Australia at least, the uplink speed on 5G is actually LTE. It's only the download speed which is 5G. So by combining and using the bonding to get the maximum uplink speed on LTE, and we get up to Cat 20 these days with this technology, we really can deliver upload throughput to 300 Mbps, even greater, as Nadir said, up to 500 Mbps. We're also seeing a very interesting, what I'll call companionship, if you like, with the national fibre rollout here in Australia. So you have customers who rely heavily on a fixed connection, but it doesn't always work. And when you've got a high-speed fibre connection, having just an LTE failover doesn't carry the grunt to really provide an efficient failover. But 5G changes that. And we are now seeing more and more deployments where 5G is being used as the failover solution for the customer. In this instance, we've got an accounting firm that's connected to head offices, and they're using the BR1 Pro 5G in a hot failover mode to enhance their business continuity. Australia is a big place, and we've got lots of construction going on down here. And one of the things that is really required by any construction company is access to head office data, be it technology plans, video. There's a whole host of high bandwidth requirements for construction environments. And we've had a deployment here where we bonded actually 4 LTE connections, but we used the max adapter to boost the performance in a very cost-effective way. And by just adding the max adapter, we were able to increase the download speeds on average up to about 200 Mbps. So again, a very clever usage of the technology to provide a lot of benefit for the customer. We get a lot of requirements actually from our mining sector. And an example of this is where a site will have one tower, but they've got up to 100 workers all vying and trying to connect to the tower. And what we've done is used a HD4 MBX 5G to have 4 connections to the one tower. So we're actually grabbing a bigger share of the tower, and we're bonding that and then providing internet services both for a work environment and to the workers when they're not working. So it's covering 2 purposes. But again, 5G technology and LTE, when it's the Cat 20, is just delivering the best solution that's available in the market today. This one is perhaps one of my favourite use cases, because it really speaks to the advantage of the Peplink solution. And this is a site in Sydney's ports, where a engineering company had a mobile site office, and they used to have one internet cellular connection, but it kept dropping out because they were getting a lot of interference from the containers. So there was constantly moving. So there was never a stable signal environment. So by using the bonding technology and connecting to multiple cellular towers, we've smoothed out their problem, and they have now a primary 5G high-speed reliable internet connection. And quite frankly, they couldn't do it without the Peplink solution. So in summary, yeah, there's a lot of use cases here in Australia, and I'm really excited because every day we encounter, new applications for how this technology can be deployed.
Yes, I think yeah, well, I like the concept you told me during a previous conversation is saying that, yeah, when the deployment is maybe sometimes it's not something just like what with the biggest opportunity in 5G in Australia, for example, is when they need a big bandwidth and also a quick deployment. This is something that only 5G can do. So that's why, yeah. Okay.
And the
Yes.
other point here we talk quite often with our customers is we're not trying to replace their current infrastructure. We're trying to enhance it and support it and keep it up and running. So we find that we're not competing with their existing solution, but we're enabling it even better using the Peplink technology.
Yeah, just like we have also some partners in the US also helping a lot of they love the new technology. They use the 5G to fail over the fiber. It doesn't mean they want to change it to 5G now, but they just want to have a more safe network and then try to test the new technology. In one day, maybe, yeah, they can just simply just switch the fiber to the 5G. Yeah, this is also.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that's a good point, Cassie, is that customers transition their technology. They don't just make this big step change. So getting some experience with cellular high-speed 5G connections is really important because they will rely on it more and more in the future.
Yes. Okay, so I think the sharings here is here. So if you have questions, then please feel free to ask it in the Q&A session or in the chat. So we will take a look on that. We will see some questions. So while you're asking questions, we are also preparing some questions want to ask for to see some insights from the speaker. So the first questions we prepare is, will the cell towers get saturated in rural area where the broadband is limited? Josh, what do you think about these questions?
Yeah, look, I don't think so. I think the telcos are acutely aware today of the requirements across their network, and they're constantly upgrading and enhancing. And that's why we are seeing, and I think one of the earlier panelists mentioned that too, 5G in rural areas. We're seeing that here in Australia as well, because it's a lot more efficient. So it can handle the capacity very efficiently on behalf of the telcos.
Yeah, so questions too. So do you think as a service provider, so now we should hold off, should start a 4G deployment, hold off until 5G is ready, or we can start now? Yeah, Nadia or Joey, what do you think?
Well, I think a good opportunity should never been hold off. And especially, I mean, asking for 4G, and we get this question also very often, should I hold back and do not invest into 4G anymore? Well, it depends. If the application which is required do not need the super benefits of the 5G, like low latency, high bandwidth, etc., then there is no point in holding this back, because 4G will stay there for at least another 5 to 10 years, at least from what I can say here in Germany or in Europe. Yeah. So I would say that is application dependent. And if the benefits of 5G is not valid for this application, then you can also go ahead with 4G. There's definitely no reason to hold back.
Yes, indeed. The only thing I want to add to that is that the market is developing really fast. So we could be talking in 2023 about how we use 5G and how we did use 4G. So the deployment, I think, once everything is smoothened out, it's going to be really fast. So yeah, upgrading to 5G now is certainly a good case.
So is there any partners or user, they buy the 5G equipment now, but they do not use 5G, they still use a maybe 4G plus LTE, but they make the device future-proof? Do you have a lot of cases like this?
Yes, a lot of people are looking into the future, of course, and yeah, sometimes 4G is the only way to go, but 5G is just around the corner.
Yeah, and many people indeed want to be future-proof as well. So, I mean, typically, if you do an investment now, and even if you don't use the benefits now, maybe in the future. So we also see a lot that go for 5G, even though 4G would do the job as well. But yeah, since you do this investment not for only 1 or 2 weeks, but rather for a longer period, the majority wants to be future-proof.
We also see, sorry,
yes.
Cassie.
We
We also see the carriers using more bands. For example, in Holland, we have the 1500 megahertz frequencies as well, and also the 2600 frequency, which we didn't have on the 4G models available. So yeah, even though it's still 4G bands, they're going to still be used on more on the 5G models.
Okay, so next question is Europe or Australia ready for 5G? So we already talked about the infrastructure readiness in the beginning of the webinar, but how about the people? Do you think the business user are ready for 5G? George, what do you think?
I think in Australia, there's definitely a lot of interest around 5G. As I said at my introduction, I believe 2022 will be the year of 5G for business. A lot of our customers now are looking, very seriously at their deployments. I mean, COVID has redefined a lot of the way people work today. So that's put major changes onto the networking infrastructure to support a very large variety of remote workers working in completely diverse situations. So I think 5G is really going to come into its own this year, and we're going to see a lot of take up in this space.
So how about German? Are they
100% agree on what Josh said. Definitely, Europe is ready. I mean, there are always a couple of things that you need to consider and where you need to watch out. I mean, obviously, there's still a bit of a people that have concerns regarding 5G and health, etc. But I would see that rather as a political discussion, to be honest. The majority, and especially the industry, is absolutely ready. They are hyped. There are many advantages with 5G that will bring a big boost in the economy and also on opportunities. And yeah, I mean, it's the next level, definitely, and will give us more opportunities, more applications, yeah, and more development. So 100% agree. There's many great things coming up with 5G.
Cool. And we actually have received a lot of inquiry asking, can I bond 5G with 4G? Julie, what do you think about these questions?
It could be possible. It really depends on the latency. Of course, as many know, bonding is really depending on latency. If the latency is really different between the lines that you would like to bond, it's difficult to set it up. But if it's good connections and you have all the scenarios on green, basically, it definitely could work. So yeah, I would say give it a try.
Yeah, so actually in previous slide, maybe Stone already mentioned about the dynamic bonding. Yeah, Stone, can you talk more about what is the difference between what we used to have the bandwidth bonding and the dynamic bonding? So the dynamic bonding will be available in a new firmware, right?
I would say why we need to use the dynamic bandwidth bonding. It is because for the 5G scenario, we have a possible the 5G latency will lower than your ADSL. In that case, the traditional speed fusion bonding technology will equally send the traffic to each one interface. But because the latency is different, it might be drawn back if you have a much difference between two ones. So in that case, your speed will depend on the most slow one. But with the dynamic bandwidth bonding, we will cut the different portion. Let's say if your latency between, let's say, from the 20 to the 50, and another one is the latency is 100 megasecond on the latency. Then we will cut the traffic to the different portion. We will put more traffic on the lowest latency one, and the last part on the another one. In that case, when the traffic travel to the another end, it will just capture the time and recover to the session. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so
but there's still a limit. If your latency is over 500, let's say 500 megaseconds, then this is too much. I will not recommend to use it. I will use that interface as an alternative one, a backup one.
Yeah, I also saw some questions. Okay, one question from Robinson is asking, do you foresee Peplink being used effectively with the new LEO solution, just like Starlink or on OneWeb and 5G?
This is a funny question. We do have a US partner already testing the Starlink.
Mm-hmm.
So under the clear sky, they test about the Starlink. Their latency is around 80 seconds, 80 milliseconds. And the speed is around 200-ish to 300, the download speed.
Mm-hmm.
And when they use the split fusion BPM bonding, use ADSL and the Starlink, because the difference between the Starlink WAN and ADSL WAN is less than 200 milliseconds. So it works well.
Mm.
But
to complete that, sorry, Stone, I think it will also work well with 5G as well. Because yeah, the latencies that we see here with Starlink in Germany are somewhere between 40 and yeah, also around 100 milliseconds or 120. And the bandwidth is similar to what you said, somewhere between 200-300 megabits. And I don't see why it should not work with 5G as well. It might be some peaks where the latencies or the differences are maybe not ideal, but in most of the cases, I would say that should work well.
Yeah. Cool. So I think now we have answered all of the questions in the chat, or yeah, I saw many thanks Marcus and others, yeah, helping us to answer in the community and telling the yeah, to talk together. So I also see the questions in the Q&A is also answered. So I think this about the time for us to leave today. So thank you very much for everyone joining, and especially I want to thank you our guest speakers, Stone, George, Nadi, and Joey for this. Actually, they prepare a lot and then they find the best case and then talk to you, and that's why thank you very much for helping Peplink to have this webinar. And for anything else you want to ask, for example, if you really want to know more about the 5G situation in Australia, please contact M2M. If this is related to Germany, please go to Ladi or Patel. If this is related to maritime or some Netherlands area, so you can please feel free to go to Frontier, BV, Joey, and that. And for anything, if you still want to know more about the 5G and what is happening, the Peplink 5G portfolio, please stay connected with us. You can always go to our website or please follow our LinkedIn, because we will have a lot of new materials and for new news when we have more in the 5G. And also later on, we will have a 5G, we will prepare another 5G case study portfolio, maybe available on the LinkedIn. So please stay tuned to our community. Okay, so thanks very much for your time today. Have a nice day.
Thank you,
Yeah.
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Stay
Thank you.
safe.
Yeah,
Bye.
safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.